Very good morning and welcome you all for this morning meditation. The reflection for this morning is entitled as From Pieces into Peace and Perfect Peace. From pieces into peace and perfect peace. The scriptural reference for our reflection this morning is from Isaiah chapter 26, verse 3, where it reads, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you." We have entitled this reflection with an intention to know most of the times our life is tormented and our life is made into pieces when we think about or when we begin to worry about so many things of our life realities. There are so many questions that are disturbing us, and we are trying to understand the answers for all these questions in our day to day experiences. We may think what the future holds for us. We may think what is going to happen to my family. You may be worrying about what is going to happen about my children in the future. And you may think that how I will sustain my life in the days to come. These are the things which have been troubling us, and we have so many conditions and life realities which is different from person to person and context to context, which deeply disturbs us. But here comes the promise from God when Isaiah speaks to the people of Israel. God will keep him in perfect peace. And most of the times we think peace means it is the absence of problems. Peace means absence of problems. But in reality, it is not. The kind of peace that God promises to us is not the absence of problems, but the presence of God in the midst of all the problems. So the peace that God gives us is the presence of He Himself when we experience series of troubles and problems in our life. That's the reason someone defines what is peace is. Even there was extremely a stormy wind, when the trees are just swinging in the wind, there is a branch, and on the top of the branch there is a nest for this little bird. Though there was a heavy wind, and even the branches were moving here and there because of the wind, but that little bird, it feels safe inside the nest. That is the peace that God promises. Though the entire surroundings may give us series of problems and struggles, God promises us that I will give you my peace. That's the same thing Jesus also promises to his disciples. Peace I give to you, and my peace I give to you. So it is not just the absence of problems, but the assuring presence of God in the midst of problems. If you carefully read this verse in Isaiah 26, verse 3, as we have already noted, when Edward was writing this hymn, Peace, Perfect Peace, he was referring to the original text from the Hebrew Bible. And of course, it reads and it mentions the word shalom twice. I would like to read this verse for you in Hebrew, which will give a beautiful meaning to this verse. In Hebrew Bible, it is written, I'm reading Isaiah chapter 26, verse 3. Yeser, Samuk, Tisur, Shalom, Shalom, Ki Beka, Ba, Tuha. So, when you read a word two times in Hebrew, it is used in that particular place to stress the meaning. Here, the shalom is used twice. So if you have to literally translate this verse into English, you have to translate it like this. You will keep him in peace and peace. And we have translated as perfect peace because of the stress that is given on the word shalom and as it is mentioned twice here. And here, if you say the perfect peace, God has promised us this perfect peace. That is the reason we have entitled our reflection From Pieces to Pieces, no? Pieces and pieces. Where our life is tormented into pieces, when we have so much of worries and struggles, God gives us peace and perfect peace. Peace, and that is perfect peace. And to whom this peace is promised, it is very simple. The very verse itself says, because they trust in you. For those who trust in God, they will receive that peace. And that is also mentioned again in verse 4 as an imperative where it calls, trust in the Lord forever. If at all, if you want to experience peace in your life and the perfect peace that God gives in your life, you should trust in God. It can be pieces and pieces. We might have been tormented and we might have been seriously struggled, disturbed. In this morning, God gives us the hope and He gives us the promise, and the call is before us to trust in God forever. When we trust in God, God will give us the peace and perfect peace. May God help us and guide us to live our life with the peace that God gives us, the perfect peace. Amen.